Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahabushai, Bahasham, Rakahak Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahabushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure to the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And this is speaking of the United States of America, and those two horns like a lamb go into this two-party system, Republicans versus Democrats, which to each of their constituents say, look, we're going to bring what you want. We're going to move the country in your direction, that political feel good like a lamb. But as it says, they spake as a dragon. Those two horns are attached to that dragon, the real agenda, of America, really the agenda of the elites, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, these elite bankers, these oligarchs that control the system behind the scenes. And what are they really pushing for? That NW0, that great RESET, that fourth industrial revolution, where you will own nothing and be happy and eat the bugs and ultimately have what? A C-hip implant in you, which is the MARKOFTHEBEAST. And what's interesting is when you go into that word beast in the Strongs, it's G2342, therion. And in the outline of biblical usage, the third definition says it's a metaphor for a brutal, bestial man, savage and ferocious, which is exactly what this Edomite or so-called white man that runs America and currently has, the planet in his control. As it says in Job 9, verse 24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Esau, Edom is a brutal, bestial, and savage man. Look at how he gained, control of, the resources and, the nations of this planet, especially the United States of America, through rape, robbery, and murder. But what do they come with? Oh, democracy, peace, women's rights, human rights, etc., etc. Hey, the horns like a lamb, but speaking as a dragon, bringing that sword. Verse 12, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And that's speaking of the ancient pagan Edomite Roman Empire, because when you look at America and Rome, hey, they're damn near one-to-one identical. They both had a Senate house with elected senators. In Rome, you had a consul and a proconsul, which is like your president and vice president today. And you also had two parties for the people, the patricians, which would be like your Republicans today, and the plebeians, or your Democrats. But to go even further, verse 13, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. And what should come to mind? That great atomic fire, those two bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima during World War II by America. But the main point I wanted to get into is those two horns like a lamb that spake as a dragon, because we're coming up on the 2024, presidential elections in America, and it doesn't matter who you vote for, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. There's still puppets attached to that dragon, the will of the elites, who again want to push that NW0. And when you look at these candidates, what are they pushing for? That globalist agenda, though they may word it differently. On the one hand, you had Kamala Knee Pads Harris say that if she's selected, that being the key word, that she's going to release all those migrants in these, detention centers. And then on the other hand, with Trump, who, his whole thing was, build the wall, deport them. He said that if he's elected, hey, we're going to let migrants in legally, in quotes, because we need the workers. But what about all these Americans that need jobs out here that are working 1 to 2, part-time jobs just to scrape by a living? He is not for your side either, unless you forget during 2019 to 2021, who was behind Operation Warp Speed to fast track the snake piss. You people out here, you Americans, it's too late for a lot of you anyway, but you need to wake up to the fact that your vote doesn't matter, and it never mattered. They already know who they're going to select to be your, representative, and the situation is just going to deteriorate to fast track, the agenda these elites want. But I opened up the video with these verses to preface a clip on Middle Nation's YouTube channel titled "The Election Ritual, the Illusion of American Democracy," which is going to get straight into what Revelation 13 verses 11 to 12. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And I'm going to play about the first 7 minutes or so of this video.
Well, it's divide and conquer. I mean, if you wonder why American society is so divided, divided in so many ways. It isn't just that the divides are deep, it's that the divides are so many. Black and white, race against race, advocates of this issue against opponents of this issue, even men against women and women against men. There isn't a single category within that society that doesn't have some corresponding nemesis. It's just divide and conquer, playing out domestically. And Democrats and Republicans is just another one of these divisions, because the country has been conquered by corporate economic imperialists. Look, I don't care who you vote for in November, because power doesn't care who you vote for in November. I've said it before. If you imagine that unelected power of the private sector is going to entrust the public with deciding how things are going to be run and who's going to run things, then you're living in a fantasy. It's absurd.
Straight to the point. Those two horns like a lamb that spake as a dragon. Do you really think these entities like the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and these other elites that are dealing in trillions of dollars, that start wars to overthrow sovereign leaders, to set up puppets and steal them of their resources, and push their global agendas? Do you really think they'd give a bunch of overweight, dumbed down GMO Americans a say in how they operate the world? Of course not. They just give you that illusion to keep you running in that rat race like good little Goyim on that hamster wheel.
America has subverted, sabotaged, and strangled democracies all around the world. They've been interfering with, tampering with, rigging elections across the globe for decades, from Haiti to Honduras, from Italy to Iran, from Syria to South Africa. They've toppled governments, assassinated elected officials, fixed elections, bribed and bullied and bulldozed democracies on every continent for a century. They don't think that any population in any country in the world can be trusted to elect leaders who will safeguard the interests of the American elite. So what makes you think that they're going to trust you with that power? They rig elections and install whoever they want in country after country, but somehow you think that they're not going to do that in your country. Why, how naive can you be? Listen, the election cycle in America is nothing but a mechanism for what you can call the campaign industrial complex, whereby billions upon billions of dollars of contributions, your money, are funneled into the private sector. I mean, when you donate to a politician or you donate to a candidate, where do you think that money goes? It goes directly to business. You're not doing anything but increase the revenue streams of consultancies, ad agencies, analytics firms, PR firms, media companies, social media companies, digital marketing agencies, events coordinators, on and on. This is nothing but the public providing basically an economic stimulus package to unproductive industries. It's a wealth transfer. that you yourselves are participating in. You're literally just donating money to the private sector and getting nothing in return. Getting nothing in return except that you get to watch the most expensive fan fiction movie about democracy ever produced.
Straight to the point. This whole political cycle and, this lead up to the 2024 selections, hey, it's no different than going watching the Avengers fight Thanos. They got the good guys, Captain America, versus, the bad guys. But, hey, there's nothing new under the sun. Just like they had the plebeians and the patricians, those two parties back in Rome, hey, they have the same, entertainment to keep the people distracted as they did back then. This is bread and circuses. The phrase bread and circuses is a metaphor that refers to superficial, surface level, empty, vain appeasement, especially in political contexts. It comes from a line in Satire X by the Roman poet Juvenal, who was active in the late 1st and early 2nd centuries AD. The line reads, "The people who once upon a time bestowed military commands, high civil offices, legions, and everything else, now restrain itself and instead eagerly hope for just two things, bread and circuses." Oh, I get to campaign for my political representative. Oh, NFL season, the Super Bowl, baseball, basketball, going to the movies, going out on the weekend after a long week of working a job that destroys your body and gives you insignificant pay for it, etc., etc. The phrase implies that a government is distracting the public from greater issues with entertainment and food. In the Roman Empire, the government kept the people happy by providing free food and staging large spectacles. This was done to keep the people politically inert. And that sounds just like America today, because again, what did it say? "And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him." America doing everything ancient Rome did, even the propaganda and manipulation. And just like in Rome, what the people believed in the Senate House, and you had the plebeians and patricians, who at the end of the day was running Rome, the emperor, who had the final say. Just like in America, you've got the Republicans and the Democrats and the president, but at the end of the day, it's the oligarchs, the elites, the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers, and these other elite families that have the final say.
I mean,
Oh, before we go any further, Ecclesiastes chapter 1 in the Bible, verses 9 to 10. "The thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun." Bread and circuses in ancient Rome, bread and circuses in modern Rome, America. Is there anything whereof it may be said, "See, this is new"? Political parties in a Senate House in Rome, political parties in a Senate House in America. It hath been already of old time, which was before us.
look at the Democrats. Kamala Harris was just appointed as the nominee. She wasn't voted for. This is straight up succession, not election. There were no primaries. She hasn't had to outline her policy platform, and no one needs her to do that. All she has to do is to not be Donald Trump. This is the logic of demonization versus policy debate as a campaign strategy. No candidate has to win your approval as long as the whole election is framed in the lesser of two evils scenario. And what's the point of that? To make the pre-programmed win seem plausible, that's all. And to not leave any opening for dissent to manifest that might make the win seem implausible. Because, for instance, if voters actually have demands of this candidate or that candidate, and the candidate fails to address those demands, then it could cast doubt upon their eventual victory. And inevitably, if a candidate does address voter demands, well, that will always end up alienating some other faction of voters. So we don't talk about issues. We don't talk about how to deal with issues. We just rally behind our party's candidate in lockstep because the other party's candidate is literally the devil incarnate. When you're operating in the lesser of two evils framework, you're always going to have decidedly low expectations of your chosen candidate, and that's perfect when the election is already fraudulent in the first place. So this uncomplicates the rigging process. Yes, I said rigging, and don't think for a second, don't you imagine that that's a conspiracy theory, that the U.S. rigs elections. But between 1946 and 2000, America is documented to have interfered with, tampered with, malignly influenced or outright rigged at least 88 elections from Europe to Latin America to Asia to Africa. So again, if you think that they'll do this everywhere else, but your so-called democracy is pristine, I would have to ask you why you think so. Why would it be more important to the power structure to control the outcome of an election in, say, Guyana than it would be for them to control the outcome of an election in the United States of America? Because yes, Guyana is one of the countries where America rigged elections in the past. I'm telling you, I don't care who you vote for, because power doesn't care who you vote for, because the outcome is not determined by you. You know, Biden stepped aside because his pre-programmed victory could never be convincing. But look, Biden himself, the fact of Biden, a man who was literally in late-stage senility, a man who is visibly disintegrating before our eyes, the very fact that he was not only president, but was absolutely going to be run for another term, despite being a cadaver on strings, that should let you know that power does not reside in that office. Politicians serve two functions. The first is to distract you with the performance of democratic government, and the second,
the bread and circuses,
is to be effigies that can be burned to satisfy public anger when the policies dictated by the private sector impose misery on the population. So when an American asks me who should they vote for, or when they say that this one is better than that one, or at least not as bad as that one, and what do I think, and so on and so on and so on, well, you may as well be asking me about which Marvel superhero is better than the other, because you're not talking to me about figures who have any real significance with regards to policy. You're not talking to me about figures who actually exert any control over anything. You're not talking about the real existing power structure. You're asking me to give you an opinion about a fictional scenario in which your government wields independent power. As long as you're fixated on this charade, there's no danger whatsoever of you ever having any impact on policy. You're just facilitating and collaborating with the divide and conquer tactics of the owners and controllers of global financialized capital. And I don't know how you can be so propagandized, to be honest. I don't know how you can be so propagandized that you can't even notice that actually your own media does tell you every day that the government is not in charge. I mean, how many times have you read, or how many times have you heard in the media, the market will decide? We'll have to see what the market does, and so on. But when they say the market, they don't mean you and I. They mean big business, multinational corporations, asset managers, stock market whales, not voters, not citizens, not Democrats, and not Republicans. You live in an oligarchy, and your so-called democracy
which is ruled by the rich,
only performed as a distraction to keep you from noticing that fact.
And as he was saying, I don't know how you can be so propagandized and manipulated into believing this charade. That's because the powers that be are witches and warlocks that cast spells and witchcrafts over you people. Democracy goes into what? The rule of the demon. And what they give you this pharmakia, or these medical, how can I put it? These pharmaceuticals to keep the people in a daze. The food and the water is medicated. They give you, these political parties to believe in, et cetera, to keep the people divided and keep the people under this illusion of free choice, that their voice has a say. But again, at the end of the day, those two horns were attached to that dragon. It's all leading you like sheep to the slaughter. But now I'm going to close it out in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. I'm going to start at verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, The wicked whom the earth has been given into the hands of in Job chapter 9, verse 24. The border of wickedness in Malachi 1, verse 4. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which he's doing right now through the prophets, the men of the Lord, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, out on the highways and byways preaching this word, as well as putting up video epistles like this online, going into the scriptures and breaking them down in 144% accuracy and clarity, revealing these things unto you through the spirit of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, showing you who that wicked is and what he is doing, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, when Yahushai, the Son of the Most High, whom the world ignorantly refers to as so-called Jesus, makes his second coming to take Esau out of power. Isaiah 63, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments of Basra? And Basra was an ancient chief city of the Edomites, just as America is a chief city of Esau today. America is modern-day Basra, besides being known as Babylon the Great, Rome and spiritual Egypt, as pursuant to Revelation 11, verse 8. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. And when you go into that word working in the Strongs, it's energia, G1753. And what does it say in the outline of biblical usage? Working efficiency in the New Testament, used only of superhuman power, whether of God or of the devil. And just as the children of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are, the representatives of the Most High on earth, you Edomites are the representatives of Satan on earth. That's why, you reverence Satan. Just look at who these elites push after, and you get that left-handed energy to manipulate these people out here, put that witchcraft on them, and have them believe in this political propaganda and these other things you push. Democracy, feminism, the alphabet, group beginning with LG. Verse 10, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And, this is going into our people, 2/3 in America that don't want to receive, the gospel from the prophets, but still want to go down to Egypt, still want to go down to America and Esau for help. Hey, they're going to perish because they, they believe, in Esau, Edom's lies and signs and great wonders. They're just like these other heathens that want to be Republican, Democrat, American, voting, etc., etc. Verse 11, and for this cause the Most High shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, bread and circuses. I'm a vote for Kamala. I'm a vote for Trump. My voice actually matters. That they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Again, are people that just don't want to believe in the words of the prophets, which are really the words of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, and are going to perish and be destroyed because of it. But that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.